What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Ad Podcast. We are here at the beautiful LinkedIn activation at the Carlton Hotel for day one of the Cannes Festival of Creativity. And we have Heather Freeland, the Chief Branding Officer of LinkedIn. Heather, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do at LinkedIn? And what do you guys got going on this week?
I lead consumer and brand marketing at LinkedIn, and I've been here about 9 months, which has been an amazing ride. There's so much opportunity left with this brand in terms of storytelling and really helping people connect to it on a different level than we have before. So thrilled about that. And, honestly, right now we have one of our biggest activations ever here in Cannes. We are stationed here at the Carlton, but also have a presence throughout the week at all different activations. We're bringing in celebs and marketing leaders, and I am so excited for people to experience it.
I love it. No, you guys are everywhere. It's super exciting. So tell us a little bit about how you see the brand of LinkedIn evolving in kind of the current world of LinkedIn's just explosion in really being recognized as a social app, kind of where people show up as business professionals in a social media feed rather than a place to post resumes, awards, kind of like your, just your professional self. It seems like it's blending the business and the human.
Absolutely. Well, first, I love that you're starting to see that because that's exactly by design. And, it's funny, as from a user of LinkedIn, for my whole professional career, I've always seen it as a social media network because I've always used it as a chance to keep in touch with colleagues who have become friends, many of whom I'm seeing here this week, and really connect with them and understand what's happening in their professional lives. But I think what's starting to happen, and we're starting to see on the platform, and we're encouraging, frankly, is more of that, what's happening around the edges of work, and where are people learning in all parts of their lives, where are people inspired in all parts of their lives, where are people vulnerable. And I think that's really what's driving increased connection among people, increased understanding of who we each are as humans, not just as coworkers. And it's been a really powerful evolution for the brand and the product.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys are diving deep into the creator economy, not for the first time, but you guys have had, the LinkedIn blue check kind of, editorial blessing, which is one of the blue checks that remain something that's actually sought after and premium. You can't just buy your way into it. It's really about curating and tapping people who are thought leaders and captains of industry in their fields. So tell us about that program. How is it changing? And I recently got an update from your platform saying that you guys are launching a creator marketplace as well. So I'd love to hear more about that.
So much exciting things on the front. So I think, first of all, one of the most powerful things about LinkedIn is the authenticity of the people on our platform, right? And so the getting verified, and we're using third-party tools that can do that, mean that is the real person. You are your true self, and I think we're starting to become this amazing kind of identity layer to what's happening in the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful because it's one of the kind of last bastions where you are yourself on the internet.
You can't troll and show up as a pseudo, person like you can on X or something, or even Instagram. Your handle can be anything.
Exactly.
Right?
And so I think that's a really important part of our value proposition, and I think it's a really important part of how we're going to continue to differentiate ourselves too. And you mentioned we're starting to kind of move into the creator space, and what's super interesting about creators, and there's kind of capital C creators, but the reality is we're all creators, right?
Totally,
And I think anyone who has a story to tell and is producing content and it is really out there on our platform, and we're seeing that not just from the everyday members, but we're seeing it from athletes and business leaders and what have you, and people who are not making their living as creators, but they really are evolving as
it's
creators.
part of their personal brand,
Exactly.
and they want to have another place to showcase their creativity and do partnerships and talk about their business side of who they are as a creator.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so what we're doing with the creator marketplace is starting to really match up the creators with businesses who need them to really evolve their brands and give more authenticity to their brands. And so it's we just launched this, and we're working to make sure that we are getting that connection between the creators on our platforms and the businesses who need to tap into them. And I think it's something we're really excited about, and it gives a lot of creators a chance to monetize in a way that they haven't before either.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I'll be excited I have 32,000 followers on LinkedIn
nice
and counting,
job.
and it's the primary place that I actually distribute the podcast. So
Amazing.
Whenever I think about my audience, I think about LinkedIn first. I put it everywhere, but LinkedIn is the audience that I serve.
I love it.
Awesome. So you mentioned athletes. I know you recently launched a campaign around sport and athletes, bringing athletes to the platform. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that campaign and how it's going?
I mean, it's such an interesting insight that we had as we started slowly but surely seeing this happen organically on our platform, where more athletes were kind of dipping their toe into the water. And so we said, how do we really help accelerate that? Because think about it. You go to the office or talk to your colleagues.
Sports.
You're talking about sports. How many times did I talk about the Knicks in the last week, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so and now the World Cup, frankly.
Yeah.
But so what we're trying to do is like bring in the athletes who are both talking about their careers and their learnings and how they're evolving, and we're starting to see a different side of them, right? And they're seeing this as a platform to build their brands, to build partnerships and sponsorships, and so it's a really natural connection for us, where it's engaging content with people who are known around, across the board, and who need a different way in to connect with marketers, potential partners, et cetera, with really engaging content.
Yeah, and so many athletes now are these kind of bespoke media properties where they've got their social, but they generally have production companies where they're working on documentaries or sports content, sports film, sports social programs. But a lot of them are also business leaders, entrepreneurs. Absolutely. They own their own brands. So can you talk about this trend of like the founder-led brand, the idea that people buy from people, not just from companies, and when the CEO or a spokesperson on behalf of the brand is out there front and center speaking to the community and speaking to their audience from their personal account versus the corporate account, how does that change the dynamic? And you've seen this explosion of building out loud. The idea of using LinkedIn as a way to communicate your entrepreneurial journey.
I mean, first of all, I love that you're calling this out, because I think one of the things that's happening is in a world where AI is creating so much content. The things that are going to break through are the things that are not devolving to the mean like AI often can, but are the authentic, real people and their stories. And so I think that's often what's helping brands break through, is by humanizing them. And so whether that's with the founder or people who work there, it's increasingly becoming an amazing way to tell your brand story. And people can connect and identify with it in a different way, because they're hearing the human side of it, right? Not just the numbers on a balance sheet, or the new product launch. And so we're starting to see that a lot on the platform, and we're frankly encouraging that. We're seeing a lot of companies, including our own, where we're encouraging much more sharing from employees about what's happening at the company as a way of amplifying the company's stories and what have you. And obviously, as you said, the founders, it is really becoming, and often I joke that founders are kind of the personification of a brand.
Yeah.
And it gives them a chance to really tell their story in a different way than an advertisement could, or a press release could.
And we've also seen the evolution of the thought leader ad. So even as you think about the paid strategy on LinkedIn, I've seen some statistics, or even experienced it in campaigns that I have boosted from my own account on behalf of clients. You see like 10 times the amount of engagement. And
absolutely.
I don't know what the CPMs look like. Maybe you have more insight into that, or maybe that's getting too deep into the weeds. But it seems like when a company either promotes assets from their own employees or creators that they've partnered with, it seems to do really well from an engagement perspective
Absolutely.
in the platform, because it looks and feels native to everything else you're seeing.
Yes, for sure. And it is amazing. We're starting to see this amazing shift where marketers, something like 3/4 of marketers are saying, like, I can't do a campaign without having creators as a part of it, right?
Wow.
Like, and it's just now an inherent part of any channel strategy and any way of breaking through. And I think what's also we're starting to see is that, you know, creators have an ability to help influence the entire buying journey, and we see that especially at the end. They do a lot to build credibility in a way that a brand speaking on its own behalf can't. And so it is really an important part of any channel strategy mix for anyone going forward. And we're seeing that both in kind of the results of those ads, but also in the increase in sales of those ads.
Yeah,
right?
I can imagine.
People are seeing that as critical.
That's really cool. All right, so it's only day one here at Cannes. There's a lot going on. We're going to try and push this interview out as soon as we possibly can. Anything you want to tease for the week that's going on in LinkedIn's ecosystem that you think is must-see, must-attend?
Yes, we've got some amazing speakers here this week. We've got John Legend and Chrissy Teigen coming up later today.
Yeah.
Kiki Palmer's on the roof right now. We have a special guest I cannot announce
That's okay.
Coming up in the next few days. And we're doing a lot with athletes, as you mentioned too. Jaylen Brown will be here,
Kinda
and
trending with the sport beach of it
yes,
all.
exactly. But we are doing some amazing things throughout the week. You know, activating. We're doing our partnership with the Cannes Lions as their B2B partner, and activating with our partners up and down the beach. So it's going to be a great week.
That's cool. On the Cannes Lions side, for B2B, B2B has this kind of historical stigma of sometimes being a little bit dry, that you can't, but then we see like amazing work come out from like Tripp and Tyler for Zoom, or, you know, where people lean into humor, lean into emotion a little bit. If you had advice as a brand steward of LinkedIn, talking to B2B brands out there, what do you think they can do? What are some easy takeaways for them to start thinking about better B2B advertising? What advice could you give them?
Well, it's so funny to me because it is B2B, which is business to business, but you forget that the B on the other side of that is a human making a real decision. And so, like, as a person, you naturally resonate with humor or with an emotionally resonant story. And I think so often B2B can devolve into
features.
Yes, exactly. And facts and stats and what have you, which, yes, are important in the sales story, but we have to remember that the person on the other end of that buying journey is someone who needs to remember that ad. And guess what? Humor and emotional resonance makes people remember.
Got to inspire them.
Exactly. And so
show them that you know what they're facing and their struggles and their job each day.
Exactly. And so I do think it is really important to remember that, you know, B2B isn't business to business. I used to joke with a colleague of mine, it's also not boring to blah, but it is about telling real human stories and and connecting, regardless of the in addition to the value that you're delivering.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Heather, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Thank you.
If folks at home want to follow along with your thinking, learn more about LinkedIn, connect with you on LinkedIn, where would you like to send them?
To my profile, Heather Hopkins Freeland.
Awesome.
There
we'll
you
link
go.
to it in the show notes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Great. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Finding the right audience to build a media plan requires hours of research. And optimizing campaigns is time-consuming and a bit of a guessing game. That's why we built technology to do it for you. Strike Social.